Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Zente Szilagyi show, formerly called The Rightly Guide. This is a new rebrand. This is our first episode under this name. All old content will still remain on all the platforms previously posted on, and so I'm excited to start the channel under this. I have our wonderful guest, Jay Torres, once again. I told you, do not get old of this face. He's wonderful. He's great. I love having him here. And oh boy, do we have a lot to cover, don't we?
We got a lot of stuff to cover. So much stuff has happened since our last episode.
I know it's absolutely insane. From ice, more ice. I got flamed for standing with ice. I got flamed for my Spanish. Oh, that's a personal thing. But where else shall we begin? But with Renee Good of Minnesota. Oh boy. So we've all seen it at this point. Agent shot American citizen in Minneapolis amid ice operation. Guys, I don't care what anyone says. You see it. She was encouraged to go. She was encouraged to obstruct the federal agents. Yes, I had a bunch of people telling me that no, they don't have federal. They're not cops. They're only restricted immigration.
And look, the first video angles that we got, they weren't the best. But then we got the ICE agents video, literally shows Renee Good's wife encouraging Renee to drive away, also provoking the officer, obstructing I don't know, the wife did not seem like a good person. I'm being honest. And
Yeah, I mean, am I sad for her death? Obviously, I'm empathetic. I'm human. I have respect for other people's death. I don't care who it is. Death is bad, but I'm not gonna say that this was an unsanctioned attack. This wasn't, as you said. We saw that angle. He went down, and we found out later that the man suffered internal bleeding. So, while this also wasn't his first episode with any sort of with a car as it pertains to ice, couple months back or something like that, he had been dragged 100 feet or so by another car. And so that's not very fun. My condolences to Renee, but I'm and her family, but I mean, I just why are we stopping federal agents from doing their job? Why are we then trying to run it over? And then we have the people who are supporting not even the fact of her death, because everyone should support death is death. It doesn't matter who the person was. Even if they were the worst person, death is still death. But we cannot possibly defend what she did. I There's no other way to say it. Running over a federal agent is gonna get you killed. If you try to run over a cop, they're gonna shoot you. Like it does not matter. It's it's ridiculous that we've normalized running law enforcement over. That's basically where we're at this point in time. And I think you'd agree with that. I mean, ICE has been receiving bountiful hate recently, especially with their extended operations in places like Minnesota, Minneapolis, and then along with the fraud and everything that we covered in previous episodes. I think it's just gone too far. This is
yeah,
insanity. How can we possibly normalize something like this?
I don't I don't know, to be honest. This whole situation too sparked protests across Minnesota, and I do stand with Walls on sending in the National Guard to Minnesota to control all those protesters. That's like one of the one things that I stand with him on. I'm glad he sent them in to go control the protests as they were kind of turning more violent, I guess. A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, these so-called protests, I'll give it to them. Some of them do start out peaceful. Most of them, well, I'm not going to say most of them, but some of them are generally peaceful, but then it
Yeah.
eventually escalates to a point where it's no longer peaceful
Yeah.
and intervention is required. And so we see this like then people were We want criminals to run amok in our streets. And once again, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter if you've committed any true crimes in America. It doesn't matter if you robbed a bank or shoplifted. That's not the kind of crime. The second you're in here illegally, at least under our current admin, it's illegal. It's a crime. You are a criminal. And that's just the truth of it. But
Yeah, I do agree with you on that one. Um, the Biden administration didn't really do much. I didn't really see much stories on like immigration's customs enforcement during Biden, but now when Trump comes into office, he's obviously doing more, but Biden did do some. He did do some deporting. Every president did, pretty much. Every modern day president.
yeah, well, I think I may have to correct you. Maybe you may be right, but the border was open all throughout Biden. All these criminal illegals that they're arresting, including who we're going to get into, the little 5-year-old, they're always all let in during the Biden administration. So it was clearly just free reign. Anyone can come in at whatever point they'd like, and that's, we've said it once before. We're going to say it again. That's not a safe way to run the country. Like I just, there's so many ways to do this, and you get the opportunity to do it right. You get the chance to just take yourself home, and then you can come back, and you actually have reserved the chance to come back properly. And then we have the people who still are here and don't take advantage of that opportunity, and they aren't given that privilege to come back properly. And that is their loss.
All right, I did look it up. He did deport people. However, it was a lot easier to get over. The border was a lot less secure, and that's why we have so many of these people coming in under the Biden administration that were deported because the border was so unsecured. It was so much easier to get over it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean, they were open borders. Let's be for real. I never heard of a single thing about anything as it regarded to ICE at that time. Those 4 years, it just evolved into chaos, and now we're fixing it up to be. And I will say this: I'm going to state, as we're on this topic, I'm going to state my stance on immigration as it is, and I believe this should apply everywhere, or almost everywhere, but specifically here in the US. And my stance is this: if you are an immigrant who, yeah, you're here illegally, but you are adding to society, you have a family, you have a proper job, then you should be able to stay. They're going to be like, oh, but the Trump administration doesn't. I know they don't do that. That's my stance. That's what I would possibly like to be implemented. Again, I am not the president. I'm not in charge of that. That's just what I think. But if you're adding to
Yeah.
society, if you're adding to America, then I think you should stay. If not, then no.
Yeah, and I have a very similar stance with you here. I think that if you are contributing to our society, no, that does not mean committing crimes. No, that does not mean committing sexual assault or raping. If you're actually contributing, you have a job, then you should be able to stay. If you're committing serious crimes, if you're shoplifting, if you're raping, if you're killing, then you should be taken out. You should be taken out of the country. But if you're contributing, you should stay.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we are not in charge of that, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying I'm glad that everyone else is being taken out, but like taken out of the country. But I mean, it is what it is, and there's still laws. And then we're going to get into the faith aspect of this in one moment here. But it's just, you gotta you gotta add value to America. Oh my gosh, that's so capitalistic, but it is what it is. I mean, it's capitalism. We build ourselves up. And now we have people saying, oh, well, Jesus said, love the foreigner. Yeah, that's true. You're not a real Christian if you don't love ice, which will get into the protests I saw at Harvest Riverside when I went to Turning Point Faith's Make Heaven Crowded tour. We'll get on that in a minute. But it's like, oh, you can't be a real Christian and support ICE. Well, you know what Jesus also said? Jesus said, follow the law. And no, I'm not talking about the biblical law. He said, you can go, if you can go quote me real quick, Jaden, just to make sure I'm not going crazy here. I believe he said you should follow the rules. Mind you, Israel and like the Middle East at that time, they were all under the Romans. The Romans had laws. The Romans had their own laws that weren't Jewish law or anything of the sort. And people were still required to follow them. And if you didn't, well, let's just say the consequences were much more severe back then. But why? This is coming from the same side who justifies abortion. So, first off, incredible contradiction and incredibly sad, I think.
All right, and I got your quote right here. Yes, Jesus does imply the importance of following the law of the land. In Mark 12, verses 13 through 17, he instructs the followers to pay taxes, indicating obedience to governmental laws. Additionally, in Romans 13, verses 1 through 7, he emphasizes that Christians should submit to governing authorities as they are established by God. And he also stated that he came to fulfill the law, which suggests respect for the existing ones.
Well, would you look at that? Wow. That does not surprise me one bit. And then another thing people will try to bring up is like, oh, Jesus was an immigrant or Mary and Joseph were immigrants. It was the greater Roman Empire. It's like if you traveled in between states of the United States. They weren't crossing borders of different countries. It was literally just Roman Empire. Oh, here's the state, the region of Israel, or here's Judah, or here's Palestine, or here's this, that, the other. It's all still one thing. It's like if I wanted to go to Las Vegas, I'd drive through Nevada. Like it. That argument also does not work because once again, there were no borders that they crossed. They didn't go anywhere illegally. They didn't go any. Well, they weren't in Rome legally, but again, it's just again the Bible cannot be used to justify anything on the Democrat side, and this is just something we've seen. Again, once again, these are the same people that are trying to use the Bible for their own agenda while somehow blatantly ignoring the fact that abortion is what they're supporting. Now, abortion is a completely separate topic today. We're basically all about ICE, and well, for today, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, come on. It's just such a misinterpretation, is what it is. And so that brings us to the next thing on our icy agenda. It is a little cold down here in sunny California,
Yeah.
but, and that is ICE agents used a 5-year-old boy as bait, or they arrested a 5-year-old boy, school
Ooh,
officials
all right,
say.
We're about to get into this one. All
Oh
right, let's
no.
fact check a bunch of stuff.
Oh no. Really? They arrested a 5-year-old? No. No. I'm just gonna come and say no. Well, then what's the evidence? I'll show you the evidence. The evidence is the guy. I forget his name. Please pull up his name for me. I always forget the names. The guy and the wife, the father and the mother, or at least the father, I know for sure, but they were going after the father. He was a criminal. He saw ICE. You know what he did? He left the kid. Great father. Father of the Year award goes to that man whose name, if you could tell me, please.
I'm getting that for you right now. I'm
All right,
trying.
all
I'm
right.
trying.
I'll get.
I
I'll
do know
get.
the name of the boy. I do know the name of the boy. Forgive me if I butcher this. I should be able to pronounce this. Liam Liam Conejo Ramos. That is the kid's name, and I'm looking for the father's name right now. So just bear with me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep going until then. But Yeah, Father of the Year award goes to the dad right there. I mean, leaving your 5 year old daughter, and then that picture you see, it wasn't him being detained, it wasn't him being taken. It was literally an ICE agent protecting the child, having an adult stay with him. Oh, but they arrested him, you know? When you get detained, you have the choice of taking your children back home with you, or you designate them to a caretaker, someone that you deem.
Okay, the father's name is Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, an Ecuadorian national. And on this article, he was reported to have abandoned his child, which is what we're talking about right now.
Really? Yeah, I mean, and then it's like, oh my gosh, they detained a kid. They're gonna stop at nothing. You know, they didn't detain the kid. They're not even taking the kid, or maybe they will, but that's up to the father of the year over here.
Mm.
And they abandoned their child. That's what we should be looking at here. He ran away like a coward instead of owning up to it, and he left his 5 year old child all alone. And then now the left wants to twist what was actually a good deed, because let's not leave a 5 year old on the street all by himself, you know? Let's maybe put him into the care of an armed officer. That seems like a good idea. And I mean this literally because child is innocent. He's 5. So I it, the left is just they're struggling very badly. And they're willing to use anything. And it's not even the left that's the problem. It's not even the left media because it's complete garbage. It's the fact that people believe it. They go on their it's X and their Reddit or their Instagram and Facebook and all the liberal middle aged moms out there just like, oh my gosh, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh that's no, we're not going to look into it all. We're just going to believe everything we take at face value. It's also the same generation that can be swayed by AI, so that makes total sense, you know. But I mean, it's just the lack of research people are doing that's ridiculous here. It's it burns my brain. It's just like how can you be this ignorant to not even look after it, you know? But that's their issue, and
Yeah.
once again, as per the wing, we are right again. Haha, pun intended. But it's come on, dude.
Yeah.
The
Like
left,
you got to look into stuff. I mean, the pictures, you can't just look at the pictures cuz the pictures look very very deceiving.
they do.
Look at this. Yeah, yeah. They literally look like I'm going to say this. They literally do look like they are detaining the child. But what do the official statements say? We're not detaining the child. The child was left abandoned by his father. They're just protecting him. And the picture you see of him at a house, for all you know, that could be them literally dropping off the kid at one of the family members' houses in America that the father possibly designated for for them to take the child. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's gotten to a point where the left wing media, not even the left, not even the left as a whole group, but the left media is just twisting everything. It used to be slight, you know. We have edited things here and there, like a BBC a while back. That was blatant lies. But then we just have this. People are seriously not bothering to go look after it, and that just shows that's de-evolution. We're devolving. Because how easy do you think it is to sway someone who takes everything at face value? Very easily. Why on earth do you think I'm a conservative? Because I read Fox and only read Fox? No. As a matter of fact, I see all the headlines and I'm like, okay, so which of this is true and which of this is complete bull? Spoiler alert, it's usually not really Fox, which I think is ironic in like the funniest way possible. But I mean, the media is just so so inaccurate. It's so wrong to the point where it's just unsalvageable at this point. It's unsalvageable. Any final thoughts to add on to that?
About the media part, pretty sure it was CBS, but I may have to fact check myself on that. I did see a video on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube. I do not remember. People were saying that CBS staged a drive-by protester to come by and say like "F eyes, you should be ashamed of yourself" or something along those lines to a police officer or something. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm being very unclear right now. I'm gonna have to look that up. Pretty sure it was CBS, but if you listen to the audio, it sounds heavily staged. It literally sounds like they just hired somebody off of the street. If I'm being honest.
And it's probably true. How many of these protesters are actually real? I'm willing to bet what less than to 1%. So 1% or less are genuine. I'm going to be honest. It's probably a lot of paid protesters, and everything is anytime something happens, no matter what. I'm going to Washington D.C. in March, and I know that even my teacher said there's always someone screaming at something. Last year I heard there was some lady screaming curse words, everything possible imaginable at the top of her lungs. But I mean, you can't sit down and accept something or come like it's just this blissful ignorance is just stupid. It's dumb. It's not helping anyone. It's not helping your side. It's making your side look dumber than it already is. And it's going nowhere. You're not causing any changes. Well, you are, just not the kind you'd want to see. But it's to a point now where it's gone. Finito dunzo. And on the topic of protests, let's move on to the next thing, which is on Wednesday night, I was fortunate enough to go to Turning Point USA Faith's first tour stop of the Make Heaven Crowded tour at Harvest Church in Riverside. And what was going on there? Protests. And my friend had the unfortunate time to have to walk through them after the event had ended, to get to their car. But it was not pleasant. People were screaming in her face. It was. I saw a video from Joe Bob, actually. Love Joe Bob. Where they're literally screaming at a woman with a child in her hands saying, drop it. It's not gonna, just drop it, kill it. It deserves to die. This is the party of love and tolerance. That's not very tolerant.
It's exactly what I saw one of my friends quote on Instagram. Party of love and tolerance. And then on their story, they included a video of the protests and everything.
And it's ridiculous. Like, when I saw like a post online announcing that that were planning this protest at Harvest, it was get Erica Kirk out of Riverside. Stop the hate. Stop the hate. Who? Tell me again, which side has been the one hating on Erica Kirk ever since
Yeah.
her dear husband Charlie has died? Tell me. Oh,
Democrats,
it was
the
the
left,
left.
bro. Yeah.
Really?
So
Well,
you're saying, yeah, they're saying stop the hate. Kind of sounds like you're hating on Erica Kirk here. You're not slick.
yeah, I saw the thing like get Erica Kirk out of Riverside. MAGA has no place in the IE. The
You
IE.
know, it's funny. I sent you that, and when I went back to go find it, when I went back on our messages, the post was actually taken down. I couldn't
It
find it
was.
anymore.
I was looking for it too, and it
Yeah.
disappeared. So would you look at that? Can't even hide in your own cowardice. And what I'll also say is, I actually saw Eric Kirk speak at Harvest with one of the most honest and truthful messages and speech that I've seen in a hot minute. We also had a Pastor Lucas Miles. I always get his name wrong, so I'm making sure that's right. Yeah, Lucas Miles, who's the head of Turning Point USA Faith, along with the pastor of Harvest, Greg Laurie. And obviously, I'm no Protestant, but they had some worship music and everything. It was nice. Like, I will say, Bryce Crawford was also there. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Bryce. He just got married a couple weeks ago. Shout out to him, even though he doesn't know who I am yet. But I mean, honestly, I think the thing with Erica Kirk is she was a little heavy on the eyeshadow. To be fair, she wore more modest makeup on Wednesday, and she was absolutely normal. I did not get that any sort of weird vibe. Not that I really ever have. Yeah, the video where it's like stop, that was a little off. But I mean, the grieving tour. Oh my gosh, with fireworks and everything. Remind you that these events are supposed to be hype events. They're not supposed to be
Yeah, like
sad. If everyone was all
events
okay
like
and sad,
events like America Fest, they're supposed to be hype events, supposed to get you excited, supposed to be happy events. You're not
yeah,
going to come out looking all sad with like, yeah, let's be, yeah,
exactly. I mean, so that's already incorrect because the point of it, if everyone was all sad, nothing would get done. Erica said this too. If she spent, and if her husband Charlie had spent all of his time dealing with every single bad thing said about him, people calling him a racist when he wasn't, this is a direct quote, and in general, then he would have gotten nothing done. That's so true. The verse that I have, for example, in my Instagram bio, oh my gosh, wow, is Psalm 118:6. Psalm 118:6. And that is a verse that I've connected with a lot. It says, "The Lord is with me, I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" It's a verse of encouragement and it's trust over fear in God. And I think it's something that, especially here as a conservative myself and as someone a part of this conservative uprising and this religious uprising in our generation, should and can and will live by. I don't care about anyone else's opinions. I don't care about their beliefs. I do, but not in that sense. I know your beliefs are incorrect, and I'm here to change that. So, what can mere mortals do to me? What can they do? The only thing they can possibly do is send me to heaven. And it's like, oh, well, then that's saying you'd be fine if it killed you? I don't want to die. But if I do, then so what? So what? I want we should all strive to do something that leads us closer to God. If it leads us away from God, then, as Eric Kirk said, stay away, Satan. I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Once again, very, very, very accurate. I think it's read your Bibles. Read your Bibles. And that's all I can say on that topic. It was a great night at Turning Point USA Faith. A giant turn up. I believe there was about the sanctuary, aka like the main church hall, was at full capacity. There was at least, I don't know how many people that seats, but I think there's at least 1,000 or more in attendance at the campus itself, all across. Yeah, I could go ahead and fact check that for me. Along with thousands more watching online on streaming platforms like X, on other
yeah,
Harvest
including
campuses.
myself. Actually, I was watching that on X
Why don't you look at
because I
that?
wasn't able to go.
Yeah. I had a bunch of friends who went. They all enjoyed it. They all loved it. Bryce and Erica Kirk were definitely the highlight, and I can't. If they just went to San Diego yesterday, Riley Gaines was the main event, and I'm gonna give a shout out to uh, once again to the final two guests that were there on Wednesday, and that's a Girls Gone Bible, the runners of that show. They all had great wisdom. That's one thing I'll give to Protestant churches is that they do have great wisdom. They have great motivating wisdom that I think can apply to us all. I still love our Catholic homilies, though, though don't get me wrong. But it's different. It's a good thing, and it's a I think we can all strive to live by it. And that's where I'll end talking about Turning Point Faith. Great event. If anything, there's a bunch of tour stops all around the U.S. If you can go, go. Make heaven crowded, just like them. Now, uh, now let's return to politics for a second here. We went into religious aspect for a second here, but let's talk about Trump and Greenland. Everyone's favorite discussion. I know. I had multiple people like, oh no, Greenland. Why do we need Greenland? Well, we kind of need Greenland for military strategics. I can live with it. I can live without it. Just like I can live with, basically any other extra state with or without. I don't care as much for it. I don't know why it's such a big issue. Like, God forbid a guy wants a almost nearly uninhabited piece of ice in the Arctic Ocean. So I will say though, Canada would be surrounded by the U.S. on all fronts: Alaska, mainland, and then Greenland. So not that they're a very strong country, no offense, but we would surround them on all fronts. And I think I don't know why this has been such a problem. I Do you see why this has been? Is there something that you know that I don't? That why would the U.S. wanting Greenland be such a problem?
I think the way people are interpreting it is that he wants to. I think people are kind of interpreting him as some sort of conqueror. I think that he wants to conquer other places that like aren't his territory, like that kind of stuff. Like, oh, he's gonna make us go to war, and like I think they're kind of interpreting it like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's not Napoleon. First off, I mean, Europe is in shambles as it is. That's a whole geopolitical episode for another time. That's definitely something we'll talk about coming up because geopolitics is. If you thought the U.S. was bad, take a look at the rest of the world. That's completely different can of beans that we're not going to open up right now. Don't feel like reheating it. Don't feel like refrying it. But I think I don't necessarily think Greenland has to be a part of the U.S. Again, I could live with or without it. I don't see true importance of it. Probably once again some sort of resource type of a thing here again. But what I will say is that
Hmm.
just there's why does any one side need Greenland anyway? It's just a small little icy island. I don't think it offers anything besides obviously a military base. But it has, although I will give them this, is that Greenland has always been in the talks, not even just with Trump, but with other presidents as well. But like with anything, it's only a problem when the big DJT does it, you know? So that circles back to our media and our left wing narratives that they it's never pro Democrat, it's always anti Trump. Whereas we're pro Republican, pro conservative, and also we do have some anti Democrat, but as you should, those people are way off the rails at this point, or at least 99.9% of them. But Greenland as a military base, sure, I'm fine. I don't know. Everything is such a big problem when Trump does it. It's a problem when he deports people. It's a problem when he wants Greenland, a piece of territory that's been talked about for years. And then we have all sorts of smaller state things. Do you have anything else to add on Greenland?
Like you said, I don't think we necessarily need it. I think it's just extra land that I don't think we should bother really trying to take over. I feel like we're fine with the territory that we have right now. Like we got like forget about the US states. We got a bunch of territories out in the ocean, islands and stuff like that. You got Guam and Hawaii is a state, but it's an island that's kind of isolated from the United States. You got Puerto Rico. We got that. We got a lot of stuff already. I don't necessarily think we need Greenland.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to someone and they said it was just making things harder here, and I'm like, okay, no, yeah, that's not something I'm just I was discussing with that person right then this second. It was kind of a side comment, especially that I want to become a politician myself as well as be an activist, but I definitely would be the closest base to Europe that's not in Europe. I definitely can see the military strategy. The fact that we're like threatening war over this is kind of not even on from either side is just crazy. I do have faith in the U.S. military, though. There's a reason we spend billions and billions and maybe even trillions of dollars at this point on our military. We are the military powerhouse. But when all is said and all is done, can be with or without it. So let's recap for 1 second here, and then we'll probably end it off for today. ICE is doing great work. I got flamed for liking ICE. That is a whole separate thing that I'm not going to get into because there's no point, because it was stupid. And those people think, if they're listening, they're probably not, and that's their loss. But just because they're older than me, that they are right. Coincidentally, I'm right. Pun. And it just shows why the education department was dismantled. Once again, whole nother can of beans, but ICE doing great work. The little boy was not detained by ICE. He was actually being kept safe by ICE. Renee Good was, in fact, in the wrong. um, California prices keep going out of control. I don't think we necessarily need Greenland. And Turning Point Faith had a very great event on Wednesday. Any final thoughts, comments, things?
I don't know if you saw this. I sent this to you. Turning Point has finally issued Candace Owens a cease and desist, which I think is great, honestly, because I feel like she's spreading a bunch of misinformation about the whole assassination.
Candace Owens. The thing about Candace Owens is that, okay, we're gonna keep going then, I guess, because now there's a couple little things now. Candace Owens is, I don't know what to believe with her. I just don't. What if she's right? Then, oh my gosh, what? If she's wrong, then she just seems like a lunatic. And I do like Candace. I still have respect for Candace. We won't really truly know the truth. I say that I believe that I've said this once and I'll say it again and again and again. I believe there's more to Charlie Kirk's assassination, and that Candace Owens is onto something while also being on something. So I stand in the middle ground with her because realistically, I believe that she may be wrong, but she also may be right. And that is just something that we won't, I don't think we'll truly ever know, or if we do, it'll be far too gone. But needless to say, I think there's more to that. And yeah, the Iran protests just appeared in my head. So we're going to keep going. Sorry if you thought it was over. We're going to keep going as of recording this. The Iran protests. Where are all the Gaza, the Palestine, for Ukraine? Where's all your protesting about Iran? Where is it? Where is it? You want to see a even truer oppressive dictator regime that is probably worse than Venezuela was awful, but this is like 5 times worse. People are being tens of thousands of people are being slaughtered every day in the streets, just like the Christians in Sudan. It's one of those things where once again you can see the bodies on space or from space. Go on Google Maps, you look around, you see a big pile of, oh my gosh, what is that? Is that what I think it is? Yes, it is what you think it is. J- Jaden, you you genuinely cannot tell me that these people don't care about Iran, and they don't. You can tell me actually, and I believe you.
The Iranian people, they want to know what true freedom feels like. They just want to feel what. Keep in mind, like before 1979, Iran was a much better place than it is now. But then the regime took over, and look at where everything's going now. The Iranian people are rebelling. They want a changing government. The U.S. is actually willing to help them out, which I think is great. I think that's amazing.
People will still find, aka the left, will still find a way to complain about that.
I don't know why more people here aren't talking about that.
Well, first off, they're not really the Iranian government has made sure or tried to make sure that videos of protests and things don't really come out.
Yeah, they have done that, but there's always going to be a way. You can never truly stop somebody from
Yeah,
not
and
doing something.
that's not to say this is just like what we're hearing. No, we've seen a bunch of videos on this.
Yeah.
If y'all hate fascism so much, then why aren't you protesting for Iran? Why didn't you protest for Venezuela? Instead, you protested for Venezuela and aren't protest or for Venezuela. By that I mean Maduro, and then you're not protesting for Iran. That is incredible hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy to a level that until now I didn't think was possible. If you're gonna care about one, you care about the other. You're not nitpicking. Oh wait, but the left, once again, the media is always at the center, but they're always trying to fit what best or do what best fits their narrative, and it's it's insanity. I no other way to really. It's it, it's just a. I have no words, honestly. But I pray for Iran. I pray for Sudan and Nigeria and all the countries where Christians are being persecuted. I pray for all the people in general being persecuted in Iran. And I pray that we receive a hell of a lot of guidance. I'm sorry, a hell of a lot of guidance in this country on what's right, what's wrong. I'm praying for those who may possibly be affected by the winter storm. I don't like, I'm a California native. I don't know how bad those things get. I don't know how people react. I don't know how ready people are.
I can tell you this. I did live in New York for 3 years. I do have some firsthand experiences with these storms. Um, One of my scariest experiences while I was there was something with is something that locals call, I'm pretty sure a lot of people call it, a whiteout. Basically, there's so much snow in the air. A lot of the times it happens for a short amount of time. Mostly before it happens, they will send out an emergency alert because you're not going to have any visibility. It's literally going to look like there's just white in front of you. You cannot see in front of you at all. It's extremely scary, and I'm sure a lot of people actually die from it just because of the fact that you can't see anything, car accidents and such. But for the most part, though, I'm going to say the East Coast is pretty prepared for this. However, it depends on how big the storm is, though, and like what like surprise things like a whiteout could happen. We we don't know.
Yeah. So, brace for impact down there.
Yeah.
Stop taking everything at face value. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I use that phrase a lot, but it's simply true. ICE, I pray for ICE for their safety on the job. And I hope that we as a country may be collectively united again, hopefully soon. Collectively, I don't know, but at least the majority. And one last thing, I swear, one last thing before we go. And TikTok is officially saved. No more worrying about TikTok. That's just going to be a side note. Nothing much to add on to that. So yeah, all you little TikTokers scrolling, you can get your face value CBS news on TikTok. So enjoy that. Enjoy not researching, uh, you lazy loser. But that being said, this is the end of episode 4. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you and hear you next time.